Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Carissa Andrews. She is an award-winning and international best-selling author, CEO of Author Revolution, an online academy dedicated to helping indie authors become publishing powerhouses. Welcome to the show, Carissa.
Thank you so much for having me, AJ. I'm so excited to be here.
You are welcome to the show, Karissa. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit from what we are going to discuss right now. We'll be talking about writing, we'll talk about books, we'll talk about artificial intelligence. But my first question is, Karissa, is that why did you become an author? In the sense that what's your motivation for becoming an author?
Sure. I guess my motivation really was like, I'm a deep thinker. I've always had a lot of big thoughts, but I started as a reader. And so like reading was my first love. I ended up working in a bookstore, then another bookstore, then for a publisher, then for printers, then for graphic designers. I kind of tap danced all the way around it other than actually doing the writing. And so when my best friend was talking with me and she's like, why haven't you given writing a try? I was like, yeah, why haven't I done that? And then kind of fell into it, fell in love with it, and haven't looked back since.
Right. So writing is a good idea, but what to write can be quite taxing. So how did you get over this part, what to write? Sometimes you think I can write so many things. When you get down to writing, you don't, it's very difficult to write. And then the genre. So what are the things that you took into consideration when you started getting into writing stuff?
Right. Well, in the beginning, it was just this love of a story. I had an idea kind of like land in my brain. I was like, what is this? This is kind of fun to play with. It was very much like a genre bend between science fiction and fantasy. And I kind of just ran with it and had no idea what the heck I was doing. Since then, I've learned more about story structure and about my genre that I was writing in and plot points and like all the things, tropes, all the stuff like that. So I would say in the beginning, it was just having the idea first and letting it unfold and seeing where it went. But now as I develop stories, it's more about like coming up with a cool premise and then playing around with the idea in my head, trying to figure out like, how is this going to work? What do I really want to be telling? Like, what's the theme of the story? What messages do I want to relay? And then of course, what's going to be fun to write? Because if it's not fun, then why are you doing it? So I get ideas from a lot of sources. Sometimes it's just me like ideating, like putting it down, kind of getting out there what I've been thinking about or ruminating about lately, and how do I create a story from it? And sometimes it's using new tools like Chat GPT or Claude, for example, to be able to ideate with me so that I'm no longer as an author alone.
Absolutely. So see, from that first book to over 25 books. So what is it that kept you going? Is it about the liking for writing, or is it also because it has to earn? I want to understand, that whole mindset, so that why I'm asking this is so that people can get their answers through your story. So help us understand so that, people who are trying to get into this profession or in getting full time into writing.
Yeah. So for me, in the beginning, it was just the love of the story. I just wanted to get these stories out. I was enjoying it. I knew that the readers would enjoy it because as a reader, like I kind of had expectations of the story myself and where I saw it going. As I kind of went through the career, though, what kind of kept me going was the fact that I could have my own business with this, that it wasn't just like a hobby. I could see it earnings coming in from it. I could see the potential for growth. I could see a trajectory of where I wanted to be in a creative career that a lot of people were saying you can't, like there's no way you can make money from being an author. And that's not true, especially as an indie author. And so then it became more of like a balancing act, like having fun, having the creative ideas, having the force to write, and then also wanting to earn from it and having money come in to support the career and support my family and to do really just kind of live the life I wanted to live, which was having a creative life, being able to work from home, being able to explore the ideas in my head, and then being paid for it. So it's all of the things.
Right, right. What about the monetization part? How did you get into, because for a writer it is very difficult to get into that mindset of marketing, and then
Hmm.
and of all these books are all self published, or they are published in the traditional manner, or is it some published traditional manner, some published by yourself?
Nope, I've published them all, and that was a deliberate choice. In the beginning, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go traditionally published with some of the books. And as I became like more aware of all the things that I've done in my life, I was like, okay, well, publishing on my own actually makes more sense. I've looked at all angles of publishing in all of my other careers. So I'm like, I've been in retail, I've been in the printing side of it, I've been in the publishing side of it. And now the writing is just the next step. I've worked in marketing as well. I've worked in graphic design. So to me, it was a very easy step to go, okay, well, I can cut out the middlemen and do this on my own, create the business the way I envision it, the way I see it, create my own deadlines. I'm very disciplined, so I know I can meet my deadlines. I know I can, put out books in a way that my readers are expecting them. They know that they can trust that they're coming out. And so it really kind of became a no-brainer to just go ahead and create my own business out of this. And yeah, so it's evolved, and it's something that, like, when it comes to the monetization part and the marketing part, it's a muscle. You have to learn a lot of the ways that indie authors and authors now are marketing their books, how they're selling their books, the types of like ad platforms that you're going to want to use, how you can reach your readers. You have to understand reader expectation, because then your books kind of sell themselves. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into it, but it is all about staying open and allowing each new idea, each new process for marketing, for getting your books out there, to kind of come into your awareness and then run with them.
Right, right. In terms of challenges, what are the challenges you had to face, and what are the challenges newcomers should be ready to be ready for that? Help us
Yeah.
understand that part.
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge for me was that I was hoping in the very beginning that my books would just sell like gangbusters, and I'd be the next J.K. Rowling. I'd be the next, Stephanie Meyer. But as I started creating my author brand, I realized that that's actually not what I want. I want to be able to have a solid foundation where, like, I can continue to write my books and grow with my audience. And so I think in the beginning, for myself, for sure, I wish I would have taken more time to just enjoy the process and to, like, remind myself to take more time off. That it was very much like a dog with a bone, trying to figure out all the pieces as quickly as possible and trying to get out as many books as quickly as possible in the beginning. And that was kind of the mentality back in like 2017, 2018, like, publish as many books as possible. And, the more books you put out, the faster you'll earn. But I found that system didn't work for me. I wasn't enjoying that process of it. And so for new authors who are coming in, I think I would probably tell them, number one, make sure you're writing in a genre that you love. Make sure the words that you're trying to come out, are the ones that you want to say, versus just like what you think needs to be done in order to earn money. Because if this is a long game, if you're working on this as a career, the instant gratification of money, while nice, it might not be sustainable then, because can you perform? Can you continue to meet reader expectations? Can you build a career and a system that's going to allow you to continually put out books where the readers are happy? And then take time. Like, are you taking time off? Are you taking vacations? I know a lot of authors who burn themselves out, myself included, in the early years, because you're trying to chase that thing and not realizing that it's going to take a little bit of time sometimes. Not everybody, but sometimes it'll take a little bit of time to establish yourself. And so it's okay to kind of relax a little bit.
Absolutely. Relax it a little bit, because that's where my next question was to be, and that is that how to have fun along the way, how to enjoy this whole journey while you
Yeah.
are thinking about so many things. Is it a utopia, or can you really do that? Because you got to write, you got to learn marketing, you got to market, you got to think
Yeah.
about money, you got to get the money, or it will all collapse. So many things. So how do you
Yeah.
do?
Well, it's definitely a challenge at times. It's all about finding that balance in yourself, right? Because I have, I've got 3 different genres that I write in. I write in nonfiction, I write in rom-com now, and then for the past decade, I've written in paranormal and urban fantasy. So I've gotten very clear on reader expectations in those places. And so there's a lot of stuff that as you go through it, it becomes kind of natural. It becomes like second nature just because of the fact that you've been working it for so long, which is great because then it kind of no longer is such a huge focus for you. And you can breathe easier. You can't, like, when story structure and plot makes sense in your brain now, and even if you don't outline and you're just getting the words on the page, the structure is ingrained in your mind. It's in your subconscious. And so writing becomes easier. Marketing aspects become easier as you continue to go through these processes. So fun really comes in when you decide you want to bring it in. Like, is your story fun? Is your, the character setup and the way that you're working things fun? Like for me, I love humor and I love bringing humor into my story. So in my urban fantasy, definitely has all the humor. And then of course, when I went into the romance genre, I had to do rom-com because of all the humor and the way that you can put characters into funny places. And so I bring a lot of my joy and my fun into the writing aspect of it. And then when it comes to marketing, if there's things that I don't enjoy or processes that I've uncovered that are not fun, I've learned to let that go and give it to someone who does find it fun, who enjoys that part of the process in a way that I just couldn't. And so then it becomes like easier because now all of a sudden you have support and you've got people who are there to help you.
Right, right. Now let's move to the artificial intelligence part. Chat GPT around November, December 2022, it came up. So when you first learned about it, what was your reaction as a publisher, say as a writer? How did you
Yeah.
see it, and then how you adopted it, how you adapted to it?
Sure. So I think when everyone first learned of ChatGPT, no one really understood the ramifications of how it was going to impact the community just yet. So everyone's first instinct, I think, is to go fear-based. I tend to, when I see that happening, I tend to, and this is something that my podcast listeners know about me too. It's like I pull back and then I look at it from a broader perspective and go, okay, how can we use this though? Because I've seen the trends through our industry where, like when ebooks came about, people were freaked out. They thought this was going to be the collapse of reading and no one was going to buy books anymore and it was going to be terrible. And obviously that did not occur. And it was a transition. It was revolutionary for sure, but it wasn't the end of reading. And so I look at things from a backed out perspective. So I knew that there was going to be some sort of revolutionary aspect to AI, especially to creators, content creators, and how we were going to utilize it. So I started playing around with it, just understanding what are its capabilities? How would I, as an author, as an entrepreneur, use this tool in my daily life, in my business? And so what I found were systems that I could put into place that helped me ideate, like I said earlier, faster. I can brainstorm a series of books within a couple of hours. I can flesh out characters. I can create plot twists that I wouldn't have maybe thought of on my own because of a chat system going back and forth with either Chat or Claude. So it was like I started developing these tools that I knew I was going to be using probably now for the rest of my life in the brainstorming aspect of it. A lot of authors, I think, are afraid of losing their voice through writing. And so you don't have to just use ChatGPT to write a story. Like you can, but it doesn't create the best words. You're still going to need to do some heavy duty editing. It doesn't remember everything. The context windows are pretty small. Claude's a lot better when it comes to content creation in that regard. But the brainstorming part of it was the part that was really revolutionary to me. And then when they created custom GPTs and giving us the opportunity to put in previous works that we've done so that you could say, hey, Chat, go in and read books 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to start brainstorming book 4. It can have the context for understanding what you're trying to brainstorm with it. And so now you can have an intelligent conversation with Chat and really come up with some great ideas. So as that developed, I started teaching other authors how to use AI. I have 2 programs that are available so that people can brainstorm that is the actual process of it. 4 books, 5 days was a concept where I took my Plan Your Series challenge and used AI in order to help them do the exact same things I did analog back before AI was a possibility. and with amazing results. The students are like, so many people went from going, oh my God, I'm scared of this tool, to loving it and understanding how revolutionary it can be to help us with all sorts of aspects of our author careers.
Right, right, Karissa. You see, from Chat GPT 3.5 to 4 to, GPT 4 to now Perplexity, Bing, Claude, you talked about,
Yeah.
and hundreds of others have come up. How does an author know which one to go for? Means it can sometimes be very overwhelming. Everyone claims to be very good or trying to with GPT, with so many additions with GPT-4. So I
Yeah.
don't know, because that's a paid service, but I haven't got that. But I can understand it's giving a lot of advantage. How should a young author, look at these things with so many options available? And the bigger
Yeah.
thing I want to understand is about creativity. The
Mhm.
more you delve deep into these things, your own creativity might go for a toss. Your
Mm.
mind may not think because somebody else is thinking for you. How do you bring a balance or calibration to go there only for the knowledge gap, but keep your own creativity, your own ideas alive?
For sure. Yeah. So to answer the first question about like which one do you choose, I guess I would say you go to the one that you gravitate most towards. So for me, it's definitely ChatGPT is my number one, but I'm starting the process of testing out Claude because Claude does have that larger context window. It understands and can retain more information in one go. From what I understand, it's a better tool for writers, but I haven't played around with it enough to be able to verify that just yet. But with ChatGPT, what I love about it is that it's so open. Like you don't have to use like just these specific types of prompts. You can ask it literally anything about anything. And as long as you give it a little bit of context, it can give you like some great insights on how to plan characters, how to put in a plot twist, or like where could I go? Here's my chapter so far. Like I know this needs to up the ante a little bit. What could I add in here? And it gives you ideas. So in terms of keeping your own creativity, I think that's really dependent on the author. So I know some authors who love brainstorming with ChatGPT, coming up with the ideas and then letting it kind of start the writing process. And they treat it almost like a co-author. So in a lot of senses, it's no different from having a co-author that you are writing with and you're co-creating. But at the same time, if you're leaning only on what chat comes up with, now you're kind of, like you said, handing over your creativity to the tool, and the tool is no longer there as like a support. It's like the crutch that you're leaning on. So the way that I utilize AI and the way that I utilize any kind of tool, Claude, whatever, is I brainstorm with it. Like I'm asking it questions and saying, hey, give me, 10 different options of things that we could do. And the ones that spark my own imagination, the ones that light me up and I go, oh, that's a really good idea. My brain, I don't know about you, but when I'm creative, my brain will run with whatever. And so now all of a sudden I'm on my own tangent again, right? And so it gets us over that idea of writer's block sometimes because we block ourselves from possibilities. And so when you use a tool like Chat or like Claude, and you can come up with like a great list of things to just go back and forth and decide like, are any of these what I'm really looking for? It can spark your own need to create along with it. And so I think that's what authors are finding is that it's such a great tool to just spark the creative aspects inside them, especially when they're feeling like burnt out or if they're feeling just stuck.
Right, Karissa. Great insights. One tip I'll share. It's not my tip. It's just that I read it. Was that recently, and I hope I have read this correctly and understood it correctly. But you can get the same thing online. You will find it. Is that the research was that if you tell ChatGPT that I will tip you some money or anything, it will produce better results for you. And so you can try it. Even I was very intrigued by this, but there is a
Right.
research. If you want, yeah, I can share. But if you just type it, that tipping to chat gpt, read it, understand it better. So
Uh-huh.
it might, as an author, it might be very helpful for you. Maybe it understands it that way. At the end of the day, humans are using it, and chat gpt is learning from humans. Tipping
Yep.
might tip the scales in your favor with Chat
Right.
GPT,
I've
perhaps a
heard
bit
that
more.
too. Yeah, I've heard that. Well, what I've heard is when you type in that you're going to tip chat for being so well, it actually gives you a longer like more words in whatever it is you're trying to have it like create for you. So there are authors who have like, if you're creating a chapter, for instance, and it's 2,000 words long, usually the amount of text that it will give you is around 400 words. It's not super long, but if you start like doing that aspect of it, kind of treating it like a friend and saying, hey, I'm going to tip you or like thank you or any of those things, it does start like giving you more information. It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. It means you also know about that article I have read. So I'm trying to understand that better and then get better. You see, so people are a bit scared about all this artificial intelligence, but you see what these things, what these people are, Chat GPTs and all are learning from humans. At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, they will perhaps also become like humans in the way we operate. And one day say, I won't work. It's already 8 hours.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. Be that as it may, let's move to the author revolution. So, where does
Sure.
this is where it comes for the young publishers. What is it? How do you actually work on the ground? What is it that young authors or your potential clients can look at author revolution as for?
Sure. Yeah. So I obviously am an author myself. And so I write anywhere from 3 to 4 books a year. That's my typical standard go-to. And so I've, over the years, developed some courses to help other authors learn how to publish consistently through rapid releasing is what it's called, but without like going crazy. There was a time, like I said, in 2017, 2018, when people were trying to write, and there are still authors who do this, trying to write like a book a month, for instance. And that was obviously pre Chat GPT. And so they were writing very frequently and they were publishing very frequently, but they didn't have the opportunity to really stay with their books and love what they were doing. And I was seeing a lot of authors in the markets, like in the market at that time, burning out, and they were just really suffering. So I've created courses to help them understand the stability and sustainability of their author careers if they do it a certain way. Like they can choose how this career gets to work for them. So I've got programs that help them, like I said, learn indie publishing. I have the rapid release roadmap. I have 2 now different like plan your series type situations, one with AI, one without. But then I also have, because I believe in like both science and a little bit woo, I have manifestation courses as well. So for me, I love like the concepts of spirituality and how we can tie that into what we do as authors. And so we've got abundant author courses. We have like the Millionaire Author Manifestation course where we go through for 12 weeks, diving deep into manifestation and how it works for authors. And we do courses and like master classes and masterminds. And we talk with authors who are just, because we're so creative, we are always looking for new ways to revolutionize what we're doing. And so I keep all things on the table when things come into my purview or my students are looking for something, or like we're just trying to understand something else that's new, and we add those new courses, or we talk about it on the Author Revolution podcast, or whatever it might be that students are really needing, because I believe that the indie author community needs to like raise up a little bit, like raise their vibration. Don't be like in such a limitation mindset. Like we can earn big, we can have fun with our careers, we can decide how our careers get to work for us. And so all of those things kind of came together and became Author Revolution. And now we've got thousands of students all around the world, and it's amazing. It's like completed the part of me that wants to take what I've learned and give it back to the community so that they don't have to struggle as much as I did.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to learn from you, about your experience, your company, and also your podcast. You are the host of the Author Revolution podcast. Tell us about this, what this podcast is about, who do you talk to, and about what?
Sure. Yeah. So the Author Revolution podcast, we touch on all sorts of topics. So it's everything from AI and how it works, or how to publish like in the very beginning, I've been doing the podcast since 2019. in the beginning, it's a lot of rapid release stuff. We're talking about rapid release, how it works, why the sustainability piece needs to be put in place, like how to take time off. We did a lot of that stuff. It transitions into like opening up to a bunch of different conversations with different people in the industry. They bring their own, obviously, expertise to the table, kind of like this. And so that's always fun. But then I also have a lot of manifestation conversations. So we're talking a lot about like how to manifest more in your author career, how to embrace an abundance mindset, how to trust the universe more, and so that you get more creativity and guidance for your stories, like all of the things. So it just depends. I think I need like my audience is very open-minded. They're very much like into both science and spirituality, and obviously writing. So that's the big component.
Absolutely. There is much to, as I said, to learn from you and to understand from you, to get from your author revolution. So what is the best way for people to connect with you?
Sure. Well, if they want to check out books and see what I'm all about, it's CarissaAndrews.com. Or if they want to check out Author Revolution and all that we do there, it's authorrevolution.org. And yeah, you can find the Author Revolution podcast everywhere as well.
Wonderful. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.